You're listening to Warrior Talk with Heather Thomas Van Daren and Brant Fricker. Get inspired. Be empowered. Warrior Talk.
Welcome everybody to another Warrior Talk. Get inspired and be empowered. We are ready to rock and roll today. I'm Heather Thomas Van Daren, in case you didn't know. And I am here with my co-host, Brant Fricker. We got a fun, serious topic today. Are you ready for this? Don't hold anything against us. That's all I'm going to say.
Just keeping it real.
Just keep it real. Do us a favor and go to our website and pick up one of your challenge coins so that you'll keep the Knight's Creed near and dear to your heart or in your pocket. That will keep you on the straight and narrow. I have mine sitting right here this morning, Brant.
Well, we're gonna hit number 2 on that coin. Or speak truth. Let's speak some truth. Hey, last week was great, cutting the head off the snake. That was a powerful show. People love that. Yeah.
Yes, it was worth repeating, and the times that we're in right now, we just need to learn to be bold and to speak truth above all things. And we're going to do that today. If y'all haven't seen already, our topic for today is called You Can't Ride My Pony for Free.
It's like a song. You can't ride my pony for free. Yeehaw! I'll do a rock and roll version of that. But
no, it's got to be country. Gotta be country.
And you're thinking, what does that mean? What does that mean? You can't ride my pony for free.
Yeah. Hey, there's a book in the works about that.
Yeah, there is. There is.
And of course, coming from a country girl who lives on a farm and owns horses, I can speak from this topic. And we're going to put it into ministry terms because there's a lot of us that are affected by people that want to ride your pony for free. I'll give you a heads up, okay? So I have horses and I don't hardly ever get to ride anymore because I am so stinking busy, but I do have 3 horses that I love dearly. And occasionally I will have somebody tell me, and I'm not complaining about this because I love having riding partners, but I will have somebody go, "You have horses? Let's go riding sometime." And yeah, let's do that. It'll be fun. We got to get it on the calendar, but there are so many things that have to take place before you can ride any of my ponies. So a lot of people do not understand. They think you throw a saddle up on the horse, you get on and you go. Let's break this down, and we will end up talking about ministry and in the work. So, Brant, I need you to keep score for me, or keep count for me. Okay, this is involving money. Okay,
3 horses.
3 horses, and let's just say 2, okay? Because you just got one buddy going with you. Okay, so here's the deal. You have to call the farrier if they have a need for shoes or trims or whatever before you ride. That's, for 3 horses, that's close to $200, and that's getting off cheaply, okay? That's just for their feet. Then, if their Coggins test has expired, which is required to get into any state park, that is $30 per horse for that. You have to haul to the vet to have that done. So you have to space this stuff out. You have to wait 3 days for that to come back. Park entry, $10 a person to get in. And then you have your truck and trailer that has to be readied. You have to make sure you have tags and air and all the tires and all that stuff. Have any of you guys priced diesel lately? You have to fill your tank up with diesel. That may run you $100. Okay, then you're on the road and you're going. Now you may have to even fill up again after that, but you also have to get your tack out, make sure that you've got all of the pieces that you need, that nothing needs to be moisturized, or saddle pads need to be clean. Make sure everybody's got the right bridle to go with the right saddle, the whole 9 yards, okay? And then you're on your way. You have to carry buckets for water. You have to carry all of your tack, your grooming supplies. Once you get where you're going, you have to groom your horse and saddle your horses. Okay, and then the fun starts, right? So, I don't know how much money you've got tied up in it. What have you done any calculating
That's an easy between $400 and $500 easy. Yeah.
Oh, you guys,
It's
okay.
more than a car payment. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And people don't realize that.
And then when you're done riding, hey, see you later. We're going to go to lunch. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or dinner or whatever else. So there's a lot involved in going horseback riding. A lot
Yeah.
of times
Yeah.
it comes out of your pocket. And you know, we do that out of the goodness of our heart because we want to bring people joy, right? And we want to minister to people on the trail. A lot of times there's praying going on and singing going on. It's a good time, guys. Look about this in the terms of ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have always said, and this is the truth, and I'm not trying to be tacky, but it's even in the world of Christians, we've got users, abusers, and losers.
Which one are you? Which one am I?
You know, and we're all that sometimes. Sometimes, you know, we don't realize, but in ministry it's the very same thing.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of preparation that goes on. And Brent, there's a lot of discouragement that goes on within the body of believers that minister on
Right.
a regular basis.
Right.
Is there not?
There is, and usually the most well funded ministries are the least effort intensive. Depending on what fad is going on right now, you know. But like throughout these years of over 40 years of ministry involvement, ministry helping other ministries as well, the best ministries out there that do the most get the least amount of money. And so when you add to that the fact that you know, when someone takes time out to devote their life to trying to impact as many people as possible, a $20 Holy Ghost handshake is such an insult because, again, you wouldn't even give a kid that to mow your acre, you know, more than one, right? If that, and you know, this is interesting times. I started professionally playing music when I was 13, but when I was 16, you know, $100 an hour. Well, that's how much it is now still. People don't have a value. They don't value it as much as they used to. And some things have never changed. Some things have decreased as well. But, you know, you reap what you sow. And there are people out there that they have no problem taking everything you have and asking for more and giving nothing in return, yet they want the blessing of God. You know, I had a friend, Eastman Curtis, and I love Eastman. He had the #1 youth TV show in the world, This Generation. And Eastman traveled, devoted his life, you know, to impacting people, and he's a wonderful man. Led worship for him, helped start a church with him once, but he went and he was known, man. He could just open his mouth and 300 kids would get saved, you know? Just that kind of guy. But they took up an offering, and the offering was $20,000. And the church, yeah, which is crazy. I mean, we're lucky if we see 100, right? In certain churches, or your smallest churches are usually the most generous. Can you believe that? You've got mega churches that, well, our fee is $500. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Try living off that, even if you did one. But that's fine. You know, grateful for that.
Right.
But it's interesting. You got mega churches with a $500 speak fee, but you have a small little church that you really don't even want anything from them, but you don't want them to miss their blessing too, and they outdo the mega churches by 3 or 4. Thank God for those, and that's not, you're not doing it for the money, but if this is what you're doing, or you have a family, well, out of that $20,000, they gave Eastman 5. Now, Eastman would have been more than happy to share it with them or whatever, but they specifically said every penny will go to his ministry, and he had a worldwide ministry, right? Ministry is not cheap. If you're looking at a $10,000 a month expense when you have employees and you have facilities and you have that $20 Holy Ghost handshake to a $10,000 a month thing, you don't really realize what you're doing. And I think it's so. But the fact is that out of 20 that was guaranteed, they gave them 5. Well, we have bills to pay. That's horrible, and that church is probably not in existence anymore. But it's not limited to churches; it's ministry in general. Flip. On the other side of the deal, we may expect someone to travel 3 or 4 hours and minister, and you're not just ministering for an hourly employee. You're paying for a lifetime of a body of work. Heather, how many albums and songs do you have that you have put thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars into, and to send you away with a God bless you and $100 or $20? You wouldn't even do that to a groundskeeper. You wouldn't even do that to a landscaper, And I'll say this before I shut up real quick, but Dr. Ron Charles, world renowned, New York Times best-selling author, has spent millions through the years feeding widows and orphans. I guarantee he hardly doesn't take anything at all. And so, when he flies places, he buys those plane tickets himself. When he travels himself, right? Right. And of course, he brings all of his books and stuff. What does he do? 100% of his book sales goes to the widows and orphans. I mean, the guy, he needs to take more for himself. I'm on the board. And trying to encourage him to do more for himself. That's how selfless he is. So he goes to this huge church and they go, you know what? We're going to do better than give you an offering. We're going to pray for you. Oh my gosh. And, the bank don't care how much you love Jesus. They want their payments. So we really have to be aware to take care of each other. And not only should we not be mindful to at least treat a true minister of the gospel equally we would a groundskeeper or a landscaper, but I think they're worth even more honor. And so that's why, again, it's time to stop the world. How have I been? And sometimes friends can do that to you too. If you have a $1,200 day shoot or $1,200 training shoot, and it's been that for 17 years, then you might not want to use lunch as payment for someone. I'm not kidding. That's traveling and ministering and training. It's just, look, folks, we got to honor each other. And anyway, all that to say is, this is one of those shows where we're going to hear from people saying, I'm so glad someone finally said it. And some people, I really don't think for the most part it's sinister, Heather. I think for the most part it's cluelessness.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't think it's evil.
I think that knowledge is power. I think that if you're not in it, you're not always going to know. I have some people that just absolutely love my music, and I have this one girlfriend. She's a girlfriend now. I've known her for so many years. She literally wears out my CDs. Now, literally. And she'll call me and go, I need another CD. I wore that one out. And I said, are you kidding me? How are you wearing out? She goes, well, I just play them all the time and in and out the players and in and out the players, and I wear them out. Well, one day I confided in her because she's just my biggest fan and she supports me. And I confided in her how much it actually cost to go into a quality studio, hire a quality producer with quality musicians, and then take the time, the hourly payments, the pressing of the CDs, the advertisement, the graphics, the cover design, the whole 9 yards. It's in the tens of thousands, people. And her jaw dropped because she had no earthly idea
Right.
that an artist has that much money invested in 1,000 CDs that they sell for $20. And a lot of times, we give a lot of them away because we're in it for the ministry, guys. We really are in it for the ministry. But here's the deal. Ministry is nonprofit, right? But can you really expect a minister, music minister, songwriter, singer, pastor, evangelist, whatever it is, to put in 60 hours of, a week working for the Lord? And then how are they going to hold down a 40 to 60-hour work week and a secular job in order to pay for the 60-hour work week that they have ministry? It's impossible. And there are some people that I personally know that have become so discouraged because they knew their calling was to serve the Lord, and they had to pull back because they couldn't make ends meet. And it broke their heart because you do have to provide for your family. And so they had to make really tough decisions and maybe find a way to minister in another area, because we're never going to stop serving the Lord. But that's tough, guys. It's tough. So when you have something to give generously, knowing that we are fingers and toes for those that can't be. What's your take on that, Brant?
Well, and again, it's true. It's true. Back in Bible college, they would warn ministers. They would say, "Look, you're going to run into this, and it's natural. It's normal in our culture. I would dare say it's even worse now. Unless you're a profiteer or a shyster, leveraging that world. Not the hosting church, but we have a lot of prophets with the FIT instead of the other way. And, my old friend Danny Chambers said, you can't be a prophet to a nation unless you cry for the nation. I don't hear a lot of crying for the nation. I don't hear a lot of warning for the nation. Only 34 million evangelicals even voted in 2020. And while there's proof that was still a stolen election, it's shameful. What does it say about leaders? What does it say about ministers, even artists? I could tell you something would blow your mind right now. It'd blow your mind that I found out. And I haven't told Heather yet, but we'll get to that. But all that to say is, we want to take care of each other, honor each other. For me, it's fun. It's fun for me to. This is gonna sound crazy, okay? I respect people's giftings. I respect their time. I don't even let my wife, who is a professional graphic artist, I don't even let her design something for me for free. I don't. And so, a lot of times in ministry, when you're hiring a youth minister or a pastor, there's no such thing as a part-time ministry. And you're also getting their spouses too, because it impacts them equally. And most of them are just as involved, as they are. And but we're dealing. There's a lot of things we don't know that are going on, folks. And so, but what's happening in our own place of leadership, we really have to to be aware of that. 1 Timothy 5:17 and 18, elders who lead effectively are worthy of double honor, especially those who work hard at preaching and teaching. For Scripture says, do not muzzle an ox while it is treading out the grain. And the worker is worthy of his wages. The worker is worthy of his wages. I think we ought to have a mutual respect, for each other. Sometimes familiarity can be inappropriately a place. Too much familiarity where you're not as professional as you normally would be, or you're not as kind or generous with each other as you normally would be. Oh, they're just friends, right? I had a multimillionaire I mean, many times over, and I helped him succeed too. And again, my day shoot for going on site and filming professionally has been $1,200 for 17 years. Okay. So, and he knew that I was going through a rough time. I was moving and going through a transition, and I had to let go of some things, let go of some clients. So he has me shoot, and then when it's time to pay me, he gives me 400. A multimillionaire that lived in Owasso gave me 400 for a $1,200 shoot. And you know what he said to me, Heather?
What?
He said, "I hope this helps." You hope this helps? If I would have done that for a strip club, they would have paid me what I charge. Why is it that in the world there's more integrity than oftentimes in ministry? So you can't ride the pony for free. It takes,
No.
and again, this isn't a rebuke. It's an encouragement that,
That's right.
it's ministry, so it's supposed to be fun. So I know the gospel is free, but the traveling and preparation, and also, when people hire me as a consultant, they're getting marketing and ministry and launching and strategy and media experience since 1983. I'm not some kid out of high school with a hobby. They're getting a whole lot more than what they realize. But maybe also on our sides we can do a better way of communicating that as well. Hey, we do this for a living, right? And so let's take care of each other.
Okay,
And
so we can take the flip side of that too, because I have actually known some artists that they way overcharge.
Oh yeah.
In my opinion, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has to crunch their own numbers, but there are some that way overcharge. For 30 minutes of music,
Right.
and they miss a blessing. So we have to learn to balance things. I'm going to tell you, when I was with Hearts to Him, my ladies trio, for 10 years, we went wherever God called us, and we accepted whatever God put in front of us. And we had this little group of ladies at a home and garden club that wanted to have us sing for them at lunch. Okay, so we said yes. Well, at the time, we had this huge concert system that we had to haul with a truck and cargo trailer. It took us an hour and a half to set the equipment up, and then you had to do a sound check, and then we would go and we would pray and freshen up and be ready to go. We sang an hour and a half concert. We'd already been there an hour and a half. We sang an hour and a half concert for them, and we had lunch, and then it took us, it always takes less to pack up and leave than it does to set up.
Right.
But, when we had 5 hours or so, maybe more than that, invested in spending time with these ladies, and it was the biggest blessing. And they said, "Well, we hope you don't mind that you sang for your supper today." And so they fed us, and that was their payment. And we were like, "Oh, okay, thank you so much." And we kind of laughed about it, but we would have done it again, guys. We would have done it again.
Yeah.
The next week, and this is how God is, because the next week we went to this really big church. Our manager got us this booking at this really big church, and we got to open for Dallas Home. And it was a huge blessing. And in the foyer, when they handed us the check, we looked at that check and just bawled. And I'm not going to say how much it was, but it was a huge amount to us. And we said, "Oh, we can't take this." I mean, we weren't used to that. And the pastor said, "Please don't rob us of our opportunity to bless you." And we learned a lesson that day. So there's balance. There is definitely balance, Brant. But the bottom line is, people have families to feed, gas to put in their cars, lunch to buy, children to send off to school. And their main dream is serving the Lord. I believe, and I participate in this too, Brett. I believe that we are to encourage them. Paul tells us to encourage. In I think it's Second Corinthians chapter 6. He was talking about all of the things that they go through
Mm-hmm.
to minister. And he's talking about getting, he's not complaining. He's just explaining it to the people about all of the things that they go through. And he says, we have our hearts open to you, and we're speaking to you with open hearts, but you're not listening to us. Your hearts are not open to us. So he was actually covering something similar to what we're covering today, but I don't think it involved ponies.
But that's a fun illustration though of the preparation and expense that it takes,
Yeah.
and just really not being aware, just not being aware. It's funny about money. Money seems to bring out what people really are. If they're shady, they're going to be more shady. If they're generous, they'll be more generous. If they're stingy, they'll be more stingy. It's a test. And I think if more people realize how little their money really is worth, that might be a shock, But, how we treat each other shows the world more than what we know. It speaks very, very loudly,
Yeah.
And there are lucrative things you can do that doesn't require any character, doesn't even require knowing Jesus. And yet, unfortunately, a lot of those things are more lucrative than those who were walking the walk and talking the talk. But we're not doing it for the money. Now, there's another facet to this as well, and that is being a good receiver. Some of you are such good givers, but you're bad receivers. I've been a bad receiver. Let's say that I know that a church is struggling. And I want to go there anyway. When my son was living in Oklahoma City, I would go lead worship voluntarily every week, going through, and then he moved, and then it became a hardship to do that. So it was not a necessary trip, but I wanted to still do that. But I also knew that the church wasn't necessarily struggling, but I didn't want to take anything from him. And my friend said, no. He said he was preaching in Kenya, and this little girl walked over a day just to come to him. She wanted to give him money, and he's like, Lord, I can't take this. And he said, you better take it. Don't rob her of her blessing.
Yeah, like the widow's mite.
Like the widow's mite. So what we want to do, we all want to improve. We want to improve as givers. We want to improve as receivers. And encourage others to do the same. And we can. And that's why good agreements make good friends. That's why sometimes you might have to go to a writer, to a contract. I had a guy, I traveled 6 hours, and I was just, in ministry, it's very easy to sell yourself short. And he knew my day rate, but I said, look, just come as close to that as you can. $1,200.
There you go.
Come as close to that you can. Well, after 6 hours, I spent 6 hours. I fed him. I trained him. And after that, you know what he told me? Well, if I get some bookings, I'll give you something. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's on him. That's on him.
I know. But what I'm saying, though, is this. Has he gone anywhere? Has he succeeded in 10 years since then? No, he hasn't. Does that make me happy? No, it doesn't. But we have to have integrity. And we have to treat people with as much courtesy as we would a stranger.
Well, that's exactly it. We may not realize this, but we are training others how to treat us by the way that we treat them. Does that make sense?
Right.
We are training others how to treat us by the way we treat them. Good things always come back to those that put out good things. And if you're not going to be telling, people, okay, here's what my needs are, and I would really appreciate your help, they may not know. So, you have to clarification. Communication is everything. Boy, when I was with Hearts to Him, having a manager was wonderful because you didn't have to worry about that. She took care of all that. We just got to go and sing, and that was what our heart's desire was. But really, we have to train people the way we expect to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And Sometimes, like you said, sometimes it's hard because we don't understand that by rejecting somebody that's trying to bless us, um, we're not really doing what God has called us to do.
Right.
We gotta let them. We gotta be good receivers, but we
Yep.
also have to be good givers too.
We do. We do. And to be able to step into someone's shoes, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves the hard questions. Am I taking advantage of the situation? Am I taking advantage of this person? You know, we have a lifetime of seeing it, don't we? And
Yeah.
but it's okay. That's why we're encouraging each other. Is don't sell yourself short.
Right.
Be generous. If anything, be more generous with people that are devoting their lives to putting it on the line. This day and age in this culture, yeah, you're putting it all on the line if you speak up. If you stand for anything,
I know.
you're putting it on the
Mhm.
line. I put it on the line. I had someone encourage me, because I'm strong in my opinions, and I'm very vocal.
No.
I'm very vocal. And, it was relayed, well, a lot of churches, may not book you. They don't book me anyway. They don't book me anyway. Very, very few book me anyway. What do I have to lose? I get the point. I'm just saying that it's come at a cost to speak up against
Yeah.
evil. It's come at a cost to stand for something in this culture. So if you have someone coming to your church and they're putting it all on the line to stand in this culture, when employers go on social media to try to find a reason to fire you just because you want to display your American flag, then for
Yeah.
God's sake, be a blessing to them. They're putting it all on the line. And it's easy to forget that. It's easy to, if you've been in ministry and you're in vocational ministry, hats off to you. We love you, want you to do well, but it's easy to forget that not everybody is paid to be working inside of a church. And so if you're asking them to make a stand, and they should make a stand, especially if they're making a stand in the world for Jesus, then man, at least make sure you bless them, because they're taking more of a risk than you are.
Yeah.
Okay? They're taking more of a risk than you are. Because they're also out and about. I'll never forget talking to a cop, and in a parking lot, and I said, "Don't you feel danger?" He said, "I'm safer than you are." I said, "What?" He said, "I got body armor on and I've got guns." Right? So,
Wait.
right.
Yeah.
And we should all dress in the armor, but all that to say is sometimes we need a fresh perspective and realize that the world is a different place. The world doesn't think like you. The world doesn't operate like a church. And it's easy to get so caught up in your church world, and you're wondering why people aren't flooding the pews. Well, that's a whole nother show there. But they're not paid to be righteous, and they're not paid to minister full time. Some of them work jobs, and 2 or 3 or 4 jobs, as they're traveling around, because they have a holy fire that will not be quenched, and they have a conviction to share, and they have spouses that are understanding, and children that are understanding. So hey, do the best you can to make it worth their while, make it worth your while, and also in the process, not to sell yourself short, so that you won't be one of those people that wants to ride the pony for free.
And listen, guys, you can come ride my ponies anytime. But just remember this. Just remember this: with anything that is given to you, whether it's in ministry, a song, a hug, anything, it's given with cost and sacrifice. So we have to learn to be appreciative of everything that is done in the name of Jesus. And remember that we're all required to put on the full armor of God. And also remember the Knight's Creed. Get your coin. You can carry it with you. And you can go to htvministries.com, and you can give to our ministry through there. So how about that? There's a pitch. We don't ever pitch, but we do want you guys to know how much we love you, and we're here to speak truth.
There you go. And that's been another great show, Heather. So be encouraged, folks. Be inspired. Be empowered. And we're We do this because we love you. Believe me that. So, anyway, it's been great. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.